Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? Today it's a rough day. Let's just be very, very honest. It's roster cut season. We've got a huge injury we've got to talk about. These are the non-fun podcasts. However, beyond necessary. And the implications in which those bring to the team, that's what we're here for. There's going to be a lot of doom and gloom out there today in the Twitter community and podcast community, and perhaps rightfully so, but there is lots of good news. Look at JD. He says, give us some good news, or at least not terrible news. So, yeah, we've got to talk about this. There's no doubt. The biggest news of the day is safety. Jimmie Ward has suffered an extreme the term that was used was worse than the others in regards to a hamstring issue. And so bad, in fact, that it looks like his week 1 probability is going to be out. Or at least they said in question. Now, a couple things. I don't trust the 49ers front office with injury information, really at all. Really, I do not. Their track record's not great. Now, you talk about personnel, you talk about draft, you talk about rumors, things like that. Yeah, they're probably one of the most honest franchises around. There's no doubt, front office-wise. Whenever you're talking about injuries, not as much. And there are a lot of injuries. There's no doubt about it. If you look across, kind of the things that they have been through just with, preseason, and we are getting some good positive news. There's no doubt about it. But if you're just looking at like hamstring and soft issues, it's rough. Charvarius Ward, Jimmie Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, Elijah Mitchell, Daniel Brunskill. Like those are just players currently dealing with hamstring issues. And, Shanahan even talked about today in this morning's press conference how, it seems like these issues keep happening on after the day off. So they had the game Friday, which was great. They take the day off Saturday. They come back out on Sunday, and that's when Jimmie Ward's issue took place. So, you're talking 4 to 6 weeks. Now, if you look at the calendar today, right, it's August 15th as we are recording this. Week 1 versus the Bears, it's September 11th. So you've got time. If you're talking 4 to 6 weeks, which is probably, if it's a rough hamstring tear, you're talking 4 to 6 weeks. Now they're nagging, and for speed guys, they can last longer, but that's the timetable, 4 to 6 weeks, which would put him back around week 1, week 2, week 3, worst case, week 4. And that hurts. That's not an easy pill to swallow by any stretch, because he was one of the rocks of the 49ers back in. Now, okay, let's talk about some differences with this and why, not that it's good, but the fact that it happened now. That's important because it will give the 49ers time to adjust and coach up and work into that back end. So it's not like they have to come out with, 3 days notice or 1 week notice for the next week. No. You've got 3.5 weeks. So you're going to have time to step in and get some adjustments. And it's not like you're lacking experience back there. Let's be honest. Yeah, Talanoa Hufanga is playing the strong safety role. He's got a lot of starts last year. He's had the entire offseason working with Jimmie Ward. Now, who are some guys that could step in? Kyle was asked that this morning, and I got this clip for you here. Who are some of the safeties? They said Tarvarius Moore. They said Dante Johnson. Who are some other guys that could step in that role? And here's what Kyle had to say.
George, who's done a good job. We probably will have to add some more people there, especially with Dante, because Dante's done a real good job also. But he might be out this week too with his rib cartilage. So we'll see how it goes with the roster. We might move our nickels around a little bit just for some guys, but hopefully we'll get some more guys in here soon.
Yeah, so lots to unpack there. So let's deal with who's on the roster, but I have been clamoring nonstop. Dante Johnson needs to play safety and nothing else, okay? But now he's got a rib issue, which You got to deal with that. Rib issue is a pain tolerance thing. And with somebody with his experience, remember him and Jimmie Ward came in the exact same year to the NFL. They actually were roommates at the Senior Bowl together. So they're 9-year vets. So you don't want them getting a whole bunch of snaps in the preseason, but with him changing positions, he knows the defense. There's no doubt about that. Not worried about that. But you do want reps with the rest of the defense so you can see how that pans out. George Odom, love that signing. That was huge. Him stepping in, I think that he could fulfill that role. He started several games last year for the Colts, so he has starting experience, and he's been with us all offseason, so he's somebody that could step in. Tarvarius Moore, he's the natural plug, okay? But he's coming off getting toasted for a huge touchdown on 4th down, which was bad. And, let me just take a timeout real quick. Good news. There is good news. Personnel-wise, Samuel Womack basically guaranteed starting. We'll talk about that in a minute. But also, let's talk about this. Film is back, baby. I have spent over 2+ hours this morning, and I woke up so early just because I was so excited. We got all 22. So the Patreon members, all the people that have supported the podcast, I want to say thank you. But, man, we started loading film breakdowns this morning. And so we've already released one. Another one's going to be releasing this afternoon where we go through every single offensive, defensive, and this year we're adding special teams. So if you want to learn kickoff coverage rules, blocking rules for return, Rangers, punt coverage, all those things, we're going to be going over that as well. And as soon as you sign up, you get access to everything. Everything, every film breakdown we have ever done. You can go back 2+ years and watch every single play. So if you're fiending for 49ers coverage and stuff, we got you over there. Head to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast and join there. Or you can just Google 49ers Patreon. Strongly recommend checking out that Steve Young tier so that you get all the breakdowns plus the bonus episodes that we do every week over there. And if you want to do the Google Hangouts, the Zoom Hangouts and all those, we do 2 a month. That's for the Jerry Rice tier and beyond. So head over there. Again, you want access to that. We broke down just during the first quarter offensive breakdowns we did this morning. It was 30+ minutes. Just watching those interior offensive line, Banks, Jake Brindle, Trey Lance, of course, but also freaking Spitzer Burford, just honing in on those guys, seeing how they do every rep. It was a lot of fun. I feel much better about a lot of things coming out after watching the film. Biggest negative, Justin School and Trey Sermon. Biggest positives, that interior offensive line, not too concerned. Trey Lance looked freaking incredible. So head over there if you haven't already. Check that out. And yeah, let's transition. Well, hold on. There's a little bit more I want to talk about with the safety position before we jump to cuts and the implications thereof. Now, Shanahan said we want to bring new guys in, okay? We want to bring in some more bodies to compete at that safety position. Who's out there, right? Well, I spent some time looking. I think the obvious answer, he was with us last year. Safety, Tavon Wilson. You remember him? He played in the 8 games for the 49ers last year. And most of those were in the first 10 weeks, but I think that would be just the obvious natural fit. He even started a game alongside Talanoa Hufanga, where we had both those guys at safety. So he could step in, knows the defense, has experience. He's sitting out there on the street. Tayshaun Gibson, another big-time name. Nate Ebner, not too big high on him. On Andrew Sendejo, probably another big name. He's more of an in-the-box safety guy. But, again, lots of NFL experience. And you have to. You got to go after a guy with experience at that safety position because it's on a short clock. It's on a short clock. Now, it's not as short as it would be if an injury happened in the season, right? And you have less than a week to jump in, but you got to get that filled. Curtis Riley, Darian Thompson, again, guys with experience at the safety position that are just sitting out there on the street. Now, I don't think any of those guys will compete for starting snaps, but you got to have somebody ready just in case another injury happens. I think Tarvarius Moore is going to be the guy. George Odom he could do it. He could do it. But I think that if you're looking at that true free safety spot, I would say Tarvarius Moore is the better fit. I think George Odom's a better fit at the strong safety Hufanga role, but you got to get somebody in there. So those are some of the options out there. Again, my guess, Jimmie Ward's probably going to miss week 1 and week 2, which sucks. That's awful. And on top of that, dude got named to the top 100 for the first time. I put it up on the channel if you missed it. So if you don't have NFL Network and you want to watch, him coming in, released that this morning, released him and the Kyle Juszczyk NFL Network film footage on my YouTube channel. So if you're one of the people that just don't happen to have NFL Network, I decided to cut that up and put that up there for you. So you can go check that out if you want to. Now, all right, here we go. Let's get to the other news. And it's not good news. The cuts. Today, the 49ers have to cut 5. 4 got announced, which tells me somebody's going on, whether it's IR, PUP, or something along those lines, because you got to release 5 today, or it has to be announced by tomorrow, but 4 of them have been announced. And the biggest shocker of them all, cornerback Darqueze Dennard, who has taken all the first-team reps, all of them, throughout minicamp, throughout OTAs, and all those. I had a projected starter week 1. They saw enough to say, all right, the upside of the youngster, the stud himself, Samuel Womack, getting in there. And so I love it. And so this is great news. So if you look at, and I saw this in the comments, right here. Does this mean that Knight is going to be the backup nickel? You're correct. Quantrez Knight, undrafted free agent. And again, if we say some of these names and you're like, I don't know who the hell that is, that's okay. We got you covered. All you got to do, go to my YouTube and just type in that player's name. Type in Quantrez Knight, 49ers, and my video is one of the first ones to show up. We did a full breakdown video with film on a lot of these guys, of all 90 players on the roster, for this exact reason. Because we knew there were going to be guys on the back end that were going to step up and surprise. So if you don't know who Quantrez Knight is, he's a ball hawking safety that's has played safety, corner, and nickel. And again, this team does not have ball hawks in the secondary, but Womack is, and Quantrez Knight is. I would put Tarvarius Moore in that category as well. But yeah, that's a new name, Quantrez Knight. Get familiar with it. Undrafted free agent. If you don't know who that is, go watch the video. There's going to be a move. There is going to be a move. Do I think that Castro Fields makes the roster? I don't think Castro can play inside. He's going to have to pass Ambry Thomas or Diamador Lenore. And I don't know if he can. But that's what he's got to show. We didn't see a whole bunch of film on him this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts and he's out there for 3 quarters at the corner position. So this week for Castro Fields, Mr. Jacobs, this is the biggest week of his entire life for the NFL. He's got to show it this week and next week, but this is the biggest week for Castro Fields if he's going to make it. Yeah, this one is interesting, Josh. School not cut. It was as bad a tape as I've seen. And again, you can go watch it. You can take my word for it. Go watch it. He was awful. He was so bad at right tackle. He's already been demoted. They moved Colton McKivitz from left tackle to right tackle because McKivitz is out. McGlinchey's out with his knee issue. Right tackle is the biggest concern for me now, even bigger than the safety news. Right tackle is the biggest issue for the 49ers entire team, not nickel. I feel like that one, not that it's going to be solved. The rookie's going to go through some bumps. Make no mistakes. But the upside's there. Remember, 49ers had 9 interceptions the entire year last year in 17 games. They had 2 by Samuel Womack in one freaking game. Let's listen to Sam. This is Sam talking about the second interception that he had in the game against the Packers.
Yeah, our coaches, defensive coaches, they for sure preach fighting for the ball, fighting to the end, fighting to the ref make a call, and I just fought for the ball, just took coaching to the game and just fought for it, and then I ended up taking it.
Yeah, and so that's awesome. Cal Native said Holman looks slow to me. Man, I thought so too, but the difference between Kader Holman was he had positive plays too. He had some very positive plays. I'm doing the defensive film. I want to jump into that probably tomorrow. I'm through 3 quarters. I released the first quarter breakdown, which was like 30 minutes. Finished the second and third quarter breakdowns. Those were like 40 minutes. About to jump to the other one. If you're one of those people that's like, man, I don't have that much time, that's okay. Just watch the first quarter. See how Trey Lance played. See how the starters played. That's enough. But for those of you that are deep tape grinders, that is available for you. I want to give more content than you can consume because I want to overeducate. You accept your level of commitment to understanding this team. I'm going to provide enough opportunity for you to be as committed as you want to understand all these things to increase your fan experience. And that's what it's all about, right? The reason why we do the videos, the education, the 90-man roster breakdown is because the problem we want to answer is how do we give you the best fan experience, right? That's what the 49ers Rush is about. There's other hot take shows that are going to, be bagging on the Niners and making fun of guys like Jimmie Ward and his, injury history and things. That's going to be out there. That's not who we are. Jimmie Ward's been incredible. But if you want those things, and again, Kader Holman, I think that he is kind of the epitome of that. Yeah, he had some very bad plays. He had some very good plays too. Consistency. Man, I can't, I'd always tell my players, and, I love that D'Amico preaches this on the defensive side more than anything. If you're not consistent, you can't play. I don't care about the splash plays. You have to eliminate the negative, right? And so once you can do that and develop that consistency, which Kader Holman hasn't done yet, but he has taken a lot of reps with the ones. I'm excited to break down that film and see kind of what that looks like. JD, how much do you think Moore School's performance were related to coming off major injuries? It's a big deal. It is a big deal because there's two types of training. There's more than two, but let me say this. There's a huge bifurcation in training all offseason to overcome an injury versus training all offseason to be in the best football shape of your life. Those two different things, two different paths, two different goal sets. And you're right. Both those guys coming off injuries. I don't think the 49ers have the, luxury to allow them to take those lumps on the starting team. We're too good a team. We're not Seattle. We're not Arizona. We're not a lot of those other teams that are, whatever. That's not what this roster is. There's depth on this roster. And a lot of other teams just don't have that. And so you've got to look and you've got to see, oh, I like this one. Doggo do. Jason Peters is out there. He's old. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, though. Should they look at a flyer for right tackle? Yeah, I would like for them to. Let me just on the fly here. Let me look up who is available on the right tackle side. This is something I haven't really checked out. Brian Beluga, yeah, he's been in this system. He was with Green Bay. Lots of issues injury-wise. Darrell Williams, Marcus Cannon, he fits. He's 34. Mike Rimmers, 33. He fits. Bobby Massey, 33. Josh Wells, 31. Ty Nasike, 36. So there's options. I think the 49ers like what they have in-house. Sadly, Brian Beluga would be the only one that I'd be like, maybe let's see what he's got. But yeah, I mean, the NFL, there's injuries, guys. This is it. You look across the league, you've got people losing starters for the year. This sucks. I'm not trying to say it doesn't suck, but it's part of the business, guys. It's part of it. So Darqueze Dennard's cut. Samuel Womack, basically a starter. Huge uptick for Quintrez Knight. My guess is those two guys are going to be, I would put Dennard out there with the first team, and I would let Quintrez Knight start 3 quarters because the 49ers only kept 1 nickel corner last year. I don't know if they're going to keep 2 because if you let Knight go, you still have Dante Johnson that could play there. Jason Verrett, who's got a longer term recovery. I think he's going to start off on the pup to kind of steal a spot. Josh Hockett, he's cut, but he had a good game. He had a really good game. But I think there's 10 teams that use a fullback like we do, or as much as we do. So chances of him being snagged, he's going to be back on the practice squad, almost guaranteed. Keyshawn Johnson was a little bit of a surprise, but that tells me the back end undrafted free agent guys, they've got a little bit more play time to go. And so Marcus Johnson, he's the vet that's hanging on. Willie Snead, he's the vet that's hanging on. But if you look at wide receiver, Malik Turner too. Malik Turner's ahead of everybody. He started the game. But Austin Mack and Tay Martin, those guys, that's probably the biggest news if you're looking at the wide receiver, that those younger guys had more upside than Keyshawn Johnson. So huge uptick. Austin Mack, Tay Martin. Even though they didn't make a lot of plays in the preseason game, they're showing enough to be ahead of the other outside guy, Keyshawn Johnson. So love those guys hanging in there. And then defensive lineman, Tomasi Lale. Sorry, I messed up his name. I apologize, sir. He was brought in late and, hasn't been in the NFL for several years. And just showed that, it just wasn't there. And he was brought in because of those injuries, right? You remember when we lost Armstead and Ridgeway on the same day? Well, guess what? Ridgeway's back. Eric Armstead's getting pretty close to back. So, he's one of those guys that I told you, if you go back and watch the episode, not going to make the roster, but give you some of those snaps. That's what it was about. That's what that was. So those are the roster cuts. You still got one more move coming, whether that is, somebody getting, put on PUP or whatever. But here's Kyle. This was before the cuts were announced this morning. Here's what he said about the roster cuts.
I think we're in the process of that right now. It's always a sensitive subject, so we haven't told a lot of the guys. But I think you guys know the deal. I think we have to have it done by tomorrow. So it should be sooner than later.
And they announced them early. This is out of fashion for the 49ers, namely Kyle Shanahan. But they had to announce early because you don't have to announce till Tuesday, but they're about to jump on a plane and fly to Minnesota for back-to-back inter-squad scrimmages. So they had to announce a little early. You see this in the NFL during the regular season as well, because what will happen is if it's a road game, then the road team has to announce. It doesn't have to, but they always announce their inactives beforehand because they have to jump on a plane the day before, right? So that's why that's such a big deal there. So anyway, that's what that is. So that's why they were announced today, is because they're traveling. Now, let's back up, okay? Because in today's doom and gloom society, when somebody gets cut, we think it's the end of the road. That player's not going to be a 49er anymore. Not so fast, my friends. Enter Lee Corso there. Josh Hockett, this is not his first time being cut. This is not his second time being cut. This is not his third time being cut. He will still be with the 49ers. There's no doubt about it. Not that he would make the 53, but if Kyle Juszczyk goes down, having him on that practice squad is a big deal. Now, there's another player that's prominent for the 49ers, and that's Colton McKivitz, and who just got switched from left tackle to right tackle because of how bad Justin School was. So he's going to be getting his tryouts this week. He's going to start right tackle. I fully expect him to play more than a quarter, and we're going to see how he does. That's who they want to win the right tackle job. Him or Jalen Moore. I think both should be guards, but whatever, that's a different decision. Kyle was asked how McKivitz is doing, Colton McKivitz, and what his journey has been, because he was cut too. A lot of people forget. Just because you're cut doesn't mean you don't come back.
Those are things like you always want to avoid with guys. And Colton, we had been with him for a couple of years, and then we cut him. And I really feel like it woke him up. Not that he was negative before. I mean, the guy always works hard. But sometimes when guys get cut, they realize how this isn't forever and how every single second counts. And I think, just talking to him, that's what he's articulated. And that's what we've seen on film. That's what we've seen on the practice field ever since that. He was a solid player before, but he's gotten so much better since then. And you try to tell all those guys that, can you have that epiphany without getting cut? But fortunately for him, we cut him. He was able to just hang around here, and I think we got a pretty good player right now.
You remember, if you go back to Colton McKivitz's entire journey, the day that Joe Staley retired, we didn't have a replacement yet. We didn't have the Trent Williams trade done. They were planning on drafting Colton McKivitz with that third-round pick. The fourth-round pick. And they were going to put him at left tackle. That was going to be the long-term left tackle spot replacement. But then the trade came through for Trent Williams. Thank God. That would have changed a lot. You know what I mean? Doggo. So 3 were cut, correct? No. So the 4 that were cut. Sorry, I'm trying to get this open here. Darqueze Dennard 1, Hockett 2, Keyshawn Johnson 3, Tomasi 4. Yeah, there's one more move coming. And again, my guess is because they only announced 4, somebody's going to be put on a PUP or IR or something along those lines. That's my guess. I could be wrong. They could basically say, look, today's the day. It's between you and you. Who's going to get it? Like, you better, I don't know. That's conjecture on my part. Probably shouldn't have put that out there. But 4 moves have been made. They have to make one more before tomorrow. So we'll see there. And yeah, I'm seeing this here. Is School being kept? 49er gal, appreciate you joining us. Is School being kept because of injuries? So don't have depth. There are a lot of bodies at that tackle spot. School has upside. Here's the thing that's crazy to me. School is the closest thing to an actual right tackle that we have on the roster. Jordan Mills, the veteran that they brought in last week, outplayed him by a mile. By a mile. But yeah, you got to get those snaps, and you can hope. You've seen it from School, right? You go back to 2019, we've seen School at like a premium. It just never really returned there. What's up, Anthony? He says, any reason why Landon Collins is not on a team? Yeah, he's old, in the box guy. I don't think Landon Collins is somebody that could play a true free safety. With his age, I think he's 36. He's older. I say that. I'm about to turn 40. I'm old, but I'm not playing in the NFL. I lost a game of 21 to some out-of-shape friends the other day. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's something to see. It's something to look at for sure, because I don't know, man. It's weird where we're at currently. But this is a weird week because you not only do you have the game Saturday against the Vikings, which is going to be key for that back end. This is the bubble game. Okay. You're going to see way fewer starters. Trey Lance not going to take snaps, Saturday. A lot of the players not going to play Saturday. This is the bubble game. This is where you figure out who your guys that you're going to be keeping are. Week 3 will solidify that list, right? So it's going through that process and understanding things. So it's a weird week because not only do you have the game Saturday, you have 2 full padded practice scrimmages, which that's for the starters. And we'll get some clips, but that's the one that was big. Yeah, I'm with you, Avion. School with 3 times, 100% got Trey killed. Yeah, he did. You know what? I came away from that thing. Nate Sudfeld, holy cow, huge stock up. His pocket presence, navigating the pocket, was A+. I don't know, man. I know it's preseason. I really like Nate Sudfeld, and I could see why Kyle Shanahan liked him so much because he is a warrior in that pocket. CJ Beathard, like just patience, much better mobility, even though he's not like a fast guy, whatever, but keeping your feet active and feeling the pressure while keeping your eyes downfield. Oh my gosh, incredible. I was very, very, very excited about that. Yeah, this is going to be a Jordan Mason game. And some of my takeaways, and if you watch the Patreon breakdowns, which I know Josh will here, Trey Sermon, it was bad. Now, limited sample size, he got 6 carries. But whenever you see Ty Davis Price come in and you could tell the difference between him and Trey Sermon, big difference, huge difference. And Shamichael Hasty, who please don't ever put him on kickoff return ever again. But third down back, holy cow. I think he's solidifying his spot as a third down guy. Jeff Wilson is probably the only other one that could fulfill that role. Maybe Jordan Mason. He's done good in the passing game as well. But, man, huge stock up TDP, huge stock up Hasty as a running back only. Huge stock down Trey Sermon. I know that he got the start with Trey and stuff, but his hesitation in deciding which holes to hit, Shanahan talked about how that was answered, right? And that how he's showing improvement there. It didn't translate to the preseason game. Just a preseason game. We're talking 6 snaps. I'm not trying to say it's over, but I'm just telling you, if you're just looking at those, Trey Sermon still looked like a rookie. And Ty Davis Price, oh, man. It was obvious, man. And I felt that watching the game, but I'll be honest with you. I was hosting an event. I was in Canton, surrounded by hundreds of people, watching this with no audio and things and whatever. And so I was doing my best. But, man, you dive into that film like I did this morning, major stock up, TDP, major stock up, Hasty, and major stock down. You could just see the difference. They are not on the same level. I hope that changes. I do. Doggo, not going to lie. Purdy looked like Jimmie G we got in 2017. He did. He was a gamer, man. I like having both Sudfeld and Purdy. Purdy will be cut, but not until that last one. No camp arm, no strong arm is rough, and that showed. But he showed he's a gamer and he's got experience. He had a good feel. He had a really good feeling. Yeah, that pass Avion that Purdy threw. Oh man, I just bust out laughing. But after that, he looked great. He looked great. Yeah, I don't know, man. Cal Native says ever since he got rocked in Philly, I was at that game. It was scary. It was scary. I mean, he was out cold. Ever since, Trey Sermon got rocked with that concussion, he runs scared. I don't know if it's scared or indecisive. He's running hard and running behind his pads. It's the processing speed. You're seeing it. And if you just watch Trey Sermon run those running clips, you're like, okay. Then you watch Ty Davis Price the next quarter run behind backups in the same play, and it's just like, that's what it's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like one of these things is not like the other, and it's the rookie now that is the way it should look. Maybe I could get smart and find a way to put those next to each other. I don't know. I need to talk to Juan. I'm not that good at that stuff. Juan's really good at that stuff. Yeah, and so we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. Here we go. If Purdy and Sudfeld play well, are we going to be no, you don't keep 3 there. No, I don't think there's any way. I don't think Purdy will get claimed again, 262. And if he does get claimed, you're going to be okay. I don't think you keep 3. But the fact that this question's being asked, that's pretty cool. And that's what Purdy needs to do. Put on good tape. Because if he can put on good tape, who knows? Maybe he lands somewhere else. That's not the end of the world. But no, you're going to keep a quarterback on your practice squad. I don't think there's any chance Purdy gets kept. I really just don't see that. I don't know what the phrase is or how to phrase that, but anyway, that's where it is. Now, if you are going to any games this year, man, I'm so excited. 49ersrushroadtrip.com. We're ramping it up, man. We've got events for every single away game, not one, but 2 events the night before the game and the tailgate before the game. So head over to 49ersrushroadtrip.com. And every weekend, we're kind of doing something different. Sometimes we're doing all you can eat and drink packages at fun bars if there's other games going on so that we can watch the games while we drink right next to the stadium and walk to the stadium together. Chicago, we're freaking partying right on the lake in between Bears Stadium, right? A Soldier Field and the Lake Michigan right there next to the planetarium. That's going to be awesome. Unlimited beers and brats with the Gatton Bros taking care of everything. I love those guys. And we're going to be doing giveaways at all these events. So tailgate, unlimited beers, brats for $30. Plus, we're giving away 49ers autographed jerseys. I mean, even if you can't snatch a ticket or whatever, come hang out with us before and after the game. Because we're going to hang out till all that beer and food is gone or until they kick us out like last year because we bought too much beer and too much food last time. Anyway, I love it. Avion, I'm going to be in Denver and Vegas. Yes, I love it. Shot J, like, subscribe, Patreon, support Senior Chapman. Give this trifecta a taste. I love it, man. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. And again, hopefully walking away. Yeah, Jimmie's out. Jimmie Ward's injured. There are some options. It's not the best news. There's no doubt about that. It's bad news. But at least it's happening now. If this would have happened in the season, he would have went on, IR and missed over a month. There's a chance he can only miss 1 or 2 games. Just my own guess, I would say he's back week 3. I hope he's back before then. But again, if you're asking me my own personal opinion on this, I think he comes back week 3. And so we got to see what else is out there. First round of cuts is almost done. There's one more transaction that needs to be made, but they're going to be bringing in a safety, which means 2 more transactions would have to be made. So head over to Patreon, check out all those video breakdowns. And until next time, faithful, hang in there. We're almost there. More injuries will happen. It's the NFL, but hang in there. We got this. Stay strong, faithful.